Is a neurological problem.
Okay.
It is an injury in the brain which causes someone to begin to convulse, to go into fits.
It is curable, but the cure is a long-term thing.
If you eat well and avoid those risk factors that will make your immunity to be down, then the risk of contacting tuberculosis will be reduced.
If you're healthy, then you're wealthy. Thank you very much for joining us on the program, Healthy Living. What is the kidney?
The kidney is an excretory organ in the body, which is for metabolism.
Tuberculosis affects many organs in the body, but the common ones it usually affects is the lungs.
Epilepsy is a neurological problem.
Okay.
It is an injury in the brain which causes someone to begin to convulse, to go into fits.
It is curable, but the cure is a long-term thing.
If you eat well and avoid those risk factors that will make your immunity to be down, then the risk of contacting tuberculosis will be reduced.
If you're healthy, then you're wealthy. Thank you very much for joining us on the program, Healthy Living. What is the kidney?
The kidney is an excretory organ in the body, which is for metabolism.
Tuberculosis affects many organs in the body, but the common ones it usually affects is the lungs.
Epilepsy is a neurological problem.
Okay.
It is an injury in the brain which causes someone to begin to convulse, to go into fits.
It is curable, but the cure is a long-term thing.
If you eat well and avoid those risk factors that will make your immunity to be down, then the risk of contacting tuberculosis will be reduced.
If you're healthy, then you're wealthy. Thank you very much for joining us on the program, Healthy Living. What is the kidney?
The kidney is an excretory organ in the body, which is for metabolism.
Tuberculosis affects many organs in the body, but the common ones it usually affects is the lungs.
Epilepsy is a neurological problem.
Okay.
It is an injury in the brain which causes someone to begin to convulse, to go into fits.
It is curable, but the cure is a long-term thing.
If you eat well and avoid those risk factors that will make your immunity to be down, then the risk of contracting tuberculosis will be reduced.
If you're healthy, then you're wealthy.
Thank you so much for staying tuned. If you just joined us, this is Politics Today, reaching you live from Benin City, Edo State, Nigeria. What today is all about is happening, politically speaking. You get to see some group of persons coming together to say they are supporting the candidacy of our beloved President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Yes, they are across the 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory. You get to see their handiwork. You get to see them in Edo, in Delta, and Nasarawa, Kano, Kogi. You just they're projecting just the name of one man. People have been asking questions about this. Is the love for our president so massive, or they're being fueled by their own insatiable greed, so to speak, or better still, is it for the betterment of Nigerians? After all, the boys are off the street. They have something doing right now. They're occupied, so the man will not go into crime or criminality. All these and more. We'll take a look at today's installment of Politics Today. My far left, I have the voice of the masses. Oh, yes, the common man. Join me to welcome Comrade Roy Oribabo. Roy, thank you so much for gracing us with your presence.
Thank you for having me.
All right. And very close to him, he is Idris Zachary. You know him now, being among foremost activists, cooking food for Akpabio. Anyway, Idris, thank you so much for being here.
An absolute delight to be here today. Thank you for inviting me. I hope we don't have to cook today.
You have to cook. I need to eat.
All right. Then we have, he calls himself the local man. I wonder how local he is, rather, because it's international. He made a comment, they can catch someone from Kenya. We have issues in Zambeza Forest. Anyway, join me to welcome Shedrack Kudugba. Shedrack,
thank you
so
very
much for
much.
being here.
It's a pleasure being here. Good morning, my good people of Nigeria.
All right, talking about foremost political activism, he's in the front of it. And of course, when they start talking, they get to realize that he has a lot to offer. But they all have a lot to offer. Join me to welcome Emmanuel Ubidi. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much, Wisin, and good morning, Nigerians.
All right, let's start with Roy Oribabo. Now, what do you feel about this particular, some call it a movement, all in support of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu? The youths putting themselves together. They are coming up and saying, this is the man that we want. This is the man that can take Nigeria from where it used to be to where it ought to be. I remember 2027, it's like barely a year from now. Talking about the election. Take it up from there, Roy.
Well, Nigeria is an unusual place. Therefore, you are bound to see and experience unusual things. You know, I think it's the right of any Nigerian to demonstrate or showcase love for the president. There's nothing wrong about that. Even yours is saying as a voice of common, and people show love to me. Some persons don't want to see me. Depending on where you are sitting and what you feel about him. To me, I have no problem about those who are showing love. You know, they are convinced within their readers that the man is doing well. On the strength of that, they have to hobnob with him. They have to sing his political praise. It's not for the generality of Nigeria to say where are we headed to. You know, we have a popular saying in political discourse that the minority will always have their say, and the majority will have their way. It is the election that will determine who are the minority and who are the majority. But the critical aspect of it today are people are happy. There's high level of deprivation, frustration, corruption. You can see corruption physically walking on the street. You can see hunger, the palpable position of hunger, you can feel it. You know, you cannot pretend to a hungry man. No matter the situation, no matter how you want to bend, a man that is hungry is hungry. He will be able to pretend for some hours. He gets to some hours where he will tell you, I can no longer. You have to go and eat. You know, on the strength of that, Nigerians are free to take the position they want to take. They are free to support whoever they want to do. But what will determine this election, as I said, is the hunger and demand. Is the future we need for our children. Is the future we need for the upcoming generation. Is the future we also need for ourselves. Even the dead, how are we going to position them at the end of the day? It's also an issue. Those are some of the issues that will be shaping the election. You know, because the president and his handler have demonstrated and showcased us that they have done well. On the strength of that, people are in love with them. They are following them. Why some people are saying you have not done well? Depending on where you find yourself in the table, it is there you will not pronounce whether the president is doing well or is not doing well. You recall even in Nigeria, when a man moved a motion for Nigeria independence, another Nigerian stood up to say, no, we are not matured enough. We cannot handle independence. There is no way you will not see opposition. You will not see. People must be divided and not the left. Before I left my house this morning, my daughter was somewhere waiting on the front, waiting for me to say you have to mobilize this. But I had to sneak that from the back so that I could play. These are the reality about life. That people cannot be on the same page.
All right.
I expect everybody to be on the same page.
All right.
The people must also be on the other side. But there are factors that will shape it.
Okay.
We'll get to that factor.
We'll get to the factor. Now, let me come to you, Idris. You get to hear them calling themselves city boys, and of course, older movement. Roy talked about hunger. Does it mean that these city boys are well fed? They're just okay what is happening in the country, hence they're showing massive love and support for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu?
That is a great question. I'll remind you, in 1999, during the infamous, not 1999, before 1999, during the infamous era of General Sani Abacha as the military head of state of the country, there were Nigerians who were protesting for Abacha to remain in office, to even transmute to a civilian leader.
1 million man march.
They had a 1 million man march for Abacha in Abuja, Eagle Square. And some of your septuagenarian musical artists today sang in that event. The Wizkid of that time, not the one of today, the Davidos of yesteryears. They sang in that event. The ones that will now equate to those people today. So no matter how bad, in North Korea, where there is no freedom at all, you have a preponderance of public opinion supporting the rocket man, the little man there who is their leader. And there are many other places across the world. In Uganda, we have a president who has been there for 40 years, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. And there are people, even on social media, because I followed the Ugandan election closely. The last one they had about a month ago between Yoweri Museveni and Chagulani, otherwise called Bobby Wine. And there were Ugandans of our age who believed that Yoweri Museveni must continue in office. And severally, there are many other places where this kind of things happen. You see, there is what is called the Stockholm syndrome, where people fall in love with their captors, and that is part of what, especially for poor Nigerians. I'll talk about the poor struggling Nigerians, and then I'll talk about the city boys that you refer to. For poor struggling Nigerians, if you see those who are supporting this administration, it is usually a sign of Stockholm syndrome. They need proper evaluation. And you know, the jeopardy is that we only have 4 federal mental health institutions, otherwise called psychiatric hospitals in Nigeria. It then means that some people, even when you have psychiatric problem, they would see it as spiritual awakening. So that is one. So if you are a young person in this country and you are a victim of, in fact, I see them every day. I was in Abuja just about 2 weeks ago and even last week to protest for something that is supposed to unite all of us, even those in power, demanding that we must have free, fair and credible election. And then the question was that in a free, fair and credible election, who is the ultimate beneficiary? The ordinary man. Because the only thing that allows the ordinary man to stand up to his governor or to his senator or to his House of Rep member is his vote. The moment the political class are able to deny you of that vote by conducting elections that don't meet minimum required standard of democratic processes, it then means that you have lost that power and you have lost it entirely. Right. However, there were people, I beg to say, I've been around for a while, that I have even progressed ahead of, who would insult me for demanding that their own vote should count. So this is a sign of Stoke Considerable. To talk to city boys, it's important we mention this. Yeah. Nigerians must realize that the food, the food that Wilson or Marshall eat will not translate to curing my own hunger. So if a man has called a group of individuals paper billionaire or politically engineered billionaires, come out and say that they are now city boys, and because of that, on the strength of that, they are buying cars of buses of 70, 80 million naira to support the president. And they are protecting their interest by doing that. You, as an ordinary man, you must ask, what is my interest in this conversation? And you must pursue your own interest too.
All right. I'll come back to you, Idris. Well, local man, hope you don't. I'm always local. All right. And you have these city boys. Now, you talk about Stockholm Syndrome, where the captor falls in love, where the captive falls in love with the captor. Is that what is happening right now?
No, I feel they are a group of persons. Ordinarily, what is expected in democratic governance is that when people go into office and they run and they are given an opportunity to govern, if they seek re-election, they show to the people how well they have committed to the promises that have been made. Well, I ought to see, this whole thing of city boys being propounded by the son of the president, Sheyi Tinubu, and it's obvious that they have now transmogrified the democracy into a form of a monarchical system of government, where the father is the president and the son is the vice president, running around, sharing rice inside the paper sheet envelopes, and they're mobilizing influencers. Ordinarily, if it was a more irresponsible guy who wants to gather vote for the father, it should be seen at the pride, the policies that the father has propounded. Should be saying, this, my father has done this, my father has done, my father has done this. It should be go to the bridges the father has tied. You go to the roads the father has tied. I said, this is what my father has done. My father promised you electricity. This is the electricity. My father has done this. And not to turn around to start sharing rice from hand to mouth for young persons and go to beg established business people, influencers, people who are known to just be gather cadres on social media and begin to use them to influence votes for a man who obviously has failed in the process of governance. By all measurable index, the man has failed woefully. And they look out for businessmen who have unverifiable source of wealth to give them a sense of political coverage, political or social coverage, so that when they support it, because the truth is this, there's no sane Nigerian who made his money from scratch that will look back and support a government that is anti-oriented to the policies of good governance. But the man has made the business environment very toxic. He has enthroned poverty, widespread insecurity. On nobody in his normal sense, we move out. Like I said when we do the election in 2027, the number of people who will vote for Bola Ahmed Tinubu will confirm to us the number of mad people we have in Edo State. Because only persons who religiously do not have their sense functioning clearly that will still go and for such a good government. So for me, when I see those city boys who come, and there's even not just city boys, there's another one they call Relax, ROTI, Relax, Tinubu is fishing Nigeria. When I saw that, I got irritated and I said they should tell Sheyi Tinubu that Nigerians cannot relax under pervasive poverty. Nigerians cannot relax under economic failure, unemployment, and hardship. It is them that should relax. And it's not Bola Ahmed Tinubu that fix Nigeria, it is Nigerians that will fix Nigeria. And whether they like it or not, Nigeria will emancipate themselves from this draconian. All the people they call city boys, were they in tune with electronic transmission of results? Do they want our vote to count? What they want to do is to guide the emperor back to power, to ensure that the man that favors them haven't seen the work they've imputed into the system. So that they too can now go around doing businesses with the coloration of government. And even when they are caught erring on the part of legality and law, they will get cover, because that's what this government does. They run it like a casino, whereby a group of persons will be able to get support and cover whenever it's not necessary. So I see this, and funny enough, this thing ought to have been enthroned when it's not time for campaignings. But you see that even long before they enter into office, campaigns are not started. But these people are quick to launch themselves into office to start campaigning under the coverage of not campaigning. They've been buying fleet of vehicles. Money that ought to be deployed for providing good governance, security, and welfare for the people is now being used to buy vehicles to share among themselves, just to keep propounding that the president must return. And beyond that, they are sharing some phantasmagoric tale, some half-truths and outright lies that because of region and things that they are trying to polarize the polity, trying to make it so it is not. Imagine a man will sit and tell you that that it is not a Igbo man will tell you it's not the time for Igbo to lead. That the turn. People who make statements against this government are going back to the right at all. They are looking for people who have the capacity to speak, to influence. People who first call them criminals and armed robbers and bandits, they are taking their bite to the government because they just want to control the public opinion. So all those city boy has nothing in it. An average Nigerian should critically evaluate it to know that it's an empty kite they're trying to fly, and we should resist them in all totality.
Okay, resisting them in all totality. Well, it is talked about Stockholm Syndrome, and of course, Chirac said people without sense. Do you align your thought to that thought pattern?
Okay, thank you very much. To be very factual, the speakers are not far from the truth. They are speaking, directly from different angles, approaching the very key issue. In the other aspect, I need to see it. I've argued before now that the president, as it is today, is doing very badly in terms of governance, but doing very well in terms of politics. That we must not take from him. And anybody who wants good governance must therefore wake up, rise up, and stand to participate in this whole process and snatch all of these ideas from them. We have the city boy movement, and very recently we have seen a counter, the village boy movement. People who believes that they also have a voice, they also have a say. But if you ask me, I will see one as a movement that is orchestrated by the elites, by what people think they want to grab. Because politics in Nigeria today is a big and a huge business. It's a huge investment. So all of those who are looking at the city boy, they are looking at the current government in power to support them because they want to invest. They want to either secure their investment or they want to find a tap route into the already existing flowing of wealth or opportunities in the current government so that they can begin to tap from there. Whereas you have some other persons who believe that there is need for good governance that will affect the entire Nigerians irrespective of the class that you belong to. And some people have argued many times that many a times the race between an antelope and a lion, we found the antelope winning the race. The reason is because while the antelope is running for its life, the lion is running for food. So if you ask me the difference between the city boy movement and the village boy movement and all other movement you are talking about, we are seeing people who are fighting to sustain their business or be seen in the good books of Mr. President, not really because they believe that the government is doing well, but they need to be in the good books so that the state apparatus will not be after them, or so that they can also find their way into the common patrimony of the people. But we have those who truly believe that the leadership of this country is what determines the future of their children and the kind of life they will live. So they are fighting for the survival of their life, their soul, their spirit, and their future. Therefore, we cannot stop anybody from aligning with A or B. But what we need to tell Nigerians is that have your life been very okay for the past 3-4 years of this administration? They promised you a lot of things in the last 2023 election. Are those things on the table? You were promised constant electricity. In Edo State, for example, today, are you having constant electricity vis-a-vis the entire country? Are you having free medical health care for women and children in our hospitals? Are our federal roads good enough? Tomorrow, will you be able to access any of these city boys and ask for meal and ask for scholarship and they will give it to you? So these are the narrative that is very critical and that will form the decision, because all of these influencers does not translate into votes.
All right.
What translates into vote is the local man or the village men that are in the village.
The local
man.
I will come back to you.
Those in the grassroots that city boy has never impacted will not have a say in 2027 election.
Okay, city boys, village boys, protests, counter-protests, you just name it, all are going for one particular thing, for a better life. for a better Nigeria. If you take a look at these two protesters, people like that the city boys have so much to offer than the village boys, in quote. Does it mean that the city boys are being coerced to do what they do, or they're doing it out of true, genuine love and their prospect of seeing a better, brighter Nigeria under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu? Right.
Sincerity, genuine is relative.
Yeah.
Depending on where you find yourself. Nigerians are today, the beginning will tell you, I'll let you say. That's what we call survival instinct. You understand? You agree how Nigeria is shaped. The winner of any election takes it all. It's not 10 to 90, it's not 40, 50. It's 100%. Once you win an election in Nigeria as a governor, as a president, you determine what happened. Anything that happened first squarely on you. And when you remember how are you going to live, how are you going to face your tomorrow, you will now have thinking around yourself. Should I embrace the city boy movement? Should I be in love with the village boys movement? Which I want to obnoxious with the relaxed group? You know, it's not there for you to choose. There are, I can assure you, we still have up to a year for election. I can only assure you now that there are many organizations that will come. What you are just seeing now is at the elementary level of organizations. I think I saw it, was it yesterday or today? There is a traditional movement now, the Southern traditional movement.
Traditional rulers.
The traditional rulers. It's a movement. We have never heard that. Any moment from now, you are going to be hearing from the north. You are hearing from the middle belt. People are looking for nomenclature to be relevant. You understand me? On the strength of that, it's not left for you to know what do I need. Do people want to, as the first of the commoners from you can also come right. The village body also come on. You know, these are the issues. People are not looking at where do I find myself. But the bottom line is that one, what is the future of Nigeria? Is it the society we want to give our children? Can we conveniently tax our child and say we are Nigerian? You know, these are some of the issues that anytime I think about it, I am bothered. Because no matter how wealthy you are, if you are the only person doing well within your local environment, your community, you are still a poor man. The people will tell you that one part of so ye. If you are the only rich person in your family, you are still a poor man. We must look at how do we get it right. And that's the reason some of us have been on this side telling the people how do we get it. Those people we are even talking about, they don't even care about you. The commoners as are today, they don't even care about we who support them, who are representing their interest. Tomorrow they are the first to tell you. Somebody was, I watched one of his posts where he was saying we are going to cook. Somebody wrote told that go cook for your papa. In all ramifications, that person is a past experience. You understand me? These are issues. For me, Nigerians are not convinced that we are in crisis. Most Nigerians are not convinced that we are in crisis. They are not convinced that there are issues in our house that we need to address. They are not convinced that the poverty is really touching. And because religion is also a part of our problem, that one man can tell you to do this, you will get this. People came to that. And somebody can also tell you, no. Do you know how many people are killed in this country waiting to loot? I am not even bothered about those who are in position now. My fear is that those who are on the queue waiting to loot. And Nigeria, the Gen Z generation, have you interacted with them? You will know that Nigeria is still good now. Are you aware now that the reason why some of us can come here is because we were able to live, the local man was able to live in village in Kukuruku to come to university of I was able to live Okotua to go. Are you aware now that the rich man and the poor men, they can no longer meet?
No.
They can't meet. That is the reality of all of us. The poor, they can't. You don't go to the same church, you don't go to the same school. They can no longer fall in love. What will happen in this country? We are just laying a foundation.
All right.
When we get there, you know where we are heading to.
Okay, right now I want to go for a short break. When we return, we'll continue with this discussion. Don't go away.
So stand up for the champions, for the...
Ìbàdúwà. Ọba àtọ́pẹ́.
If you just joined us, this is Politics Today. Well, let me come to you, Idris. Now, some people have the opinion that this is like a balkanization of the country in the sense that the strength, so to speak, of the country that log ahead. City boys versus the village boy. Can you say that this is all political or the fight between the rich and the poor in Nigeria?
The push and pull of politics is natural. I particularly like my brother Ogbidi's analogy. You see, there is a race between the lion and the antelope. More often than not, the antelope escapes the lion. But the one they show us on Nat Geo Wide is the lion killing the antelope. All right? But the difference is that whereas the antelope is running for his life, the lion is running for the next meal. So Nigerians must now see this as running for their lives. Tell me, the numbers are stark. I give you a few examples. In Europe, the biggest economy in Western Europe is Germany. And Germany also has the biggest population. In Eastern Europe, the biggest economy is Russia. And Russia has the biggest population. The biggest in South America is Brazil with the biggest population. North America, United States of America with the biggest population. Asia, China with the biggest population. In Africa, just 2015 here, we were the biggest population, biggest economy. Today we are the biggest population, waste of population actually. We are not number 1, we are not number 2, we are not number 3, and we are almost falling off number 4 now. And then somebody comes to convince you that this government has given you the best economic policies. The question I always ask is, look at your kitchen. What is going on in your kitchen? When we were kids, we used to insist and demand it of our parents that we must have 3 square meals. Now, you can no longer even eat 2 for yourself. In fact, if you have 3 and you eat it, it's irresponsibility. But you must share one with your neighbor who has not eaten since morning. Children no longer demand it of their parents. They have learned to adjust. This is economic reality. You can no longer afford to travel by road. Interstate, even from here to Auchi, is serious business. You have to reserve your transport and then keep small, just in case there is kidnapping, so that they can use it to reach out to your friends and then they do fundraising for you. This is the reality. Now, there is a city boys who are purportedly rich, unexplainable source of wealth. And then there is village boys who say, well, we know go green. First of all, the question I will ask you, is Nigeria a city? Is there any part of Nigeria today that is a city? So if somebody tells you that is a city boy in Nigeria, are you not supposed to be genuinely shocked? Abuja is a soulless city. The city is bland. You can't feel anything vibrant in it. I have visited vibrant cities in parts of the world, not across the world, but in parts of the world. Lagos, there is nowhere in Lagos today you go to that somebody is not begging you for money. Is that a city? In Benin City, where we are sitting today, we don't have light. I've been in this city now for 72 hours. I have not seen 3 hours of electricity. Is that a city? And then in this whole chaos, in this whole frustration, somebody comes to tell you that he is leading a city boy movement, convincing you to vote for a city boy. I don't know how a 79-year-old man can be a boy anyway, but let's even assume that the 79-year-old man is a boy. Is Nigeria a city? So we are in a village. Let us agree that this is a village, and let us work to build this village and make it a proper city. Anything outside that, we should be going to the farm. That's what happens in the village. We can't eat. You are calling yourself a city boy?
Okay. I'll come back to it. But remember that in New York, you have homeless, you have destitutes that they begging for money. And New York is a city. You go to the city of Birmingham, you go to the UK.
Even the destitute,
they have
I'll ask you a question. Even the destitute in New York earns more than a university professor in Nigeria.
Anyway, that is yet to be proven.
It is proven. They have social security.
Shadrach, from what he opined, yes, it's like when Nigerians, they only take a look at their kitchen before they go out there to protest. Balkanization and politics. As it stands right now, some of the people know that whether it's a city boy group or a village boys group, whatever you want to call them, they are all bankrolled by politicians of different political divide. What's your take on this?
You know, for me, I've come to evaluate the situation of the average Nigerian youth.
Yes.
Because many of these things are driven by young persons who, to a large extent, are hoping for a better future, directly and indirectly. You know, we find ourselves in a very precarious situation where the solutions of the quiet past, you know, the solution that was applied in time past, now appears to be inadequate in the current situation. So as a young person, you have to rise to the occasion, you have to act, and you have to think anew and decide a clear track of where to go. You know, first of all, the system has been politicized, and there have been some hegemonic grip on the system, making it practically inaccessible to the average Nigerian youth by way of not having the political muscle to get into power, or by way of not having the resources to facilitate. Because first of all, you see that there's a abject marginalization of average Nigerian youth by way of policy formulation and the governance structure. That is why, because democracy is a system of government, I say government by the people, for the people, by the people, government of the people, by the people, and for the people. If you look at by the people, if majority of the people, they say it's like over 40-50% of the Nigerians are less than 35 years old. If you look at that sharp majority, then if it's a government by the people, why are the real people not deciding what happens in government? So the average Nigerian youth is because if they were young persons, more of young persons in the National Assembly, by now we'll be having a electoral distribution clean and fair. If to a large extent we have lots of young persons, the university won't be in this state of comatose. See, policies that will be made will be to target the interest of the young persons who are facing the bonds of all of these challenges. So what I'm going to say is that many average Nigerians now wants to go in there to get access to power and empowerment, because we've now come to realize that you can no longer live outside politics. You can't go to school, get first class, become rich and sound, and have a good life. That the promise is no longer existent. So you now have to associate yourself directly and indirectly with the political system. And how do you want to do it? So persons have come to read the system to say, oh, as of today, APC is the major political grounds. They've held power so strongly that sometimes, like we saw in those states, even when you choose not to vote for the candidate, they own the Independent National Electoral Commission, they own the judiciary, and they are willing and ready to deploy the tools of infrastructure institutions to muzzle power and keep you out of the system perpetually. So people have now said, okay, let us weekly align with them. Maybe by way of appointment, they want to give us 1 or 2 SSC. Because many people slaving their lives on social media, slaving their lives on food street, serving leaders in perpetuity, so that the leaders will give them a crumb of bread from that national cake. I see some other person say, okay, let us go into the system and perhaps work as slaves. Let us continue to follow the system. Okay, let us start by fighting. And after we fight, they recognize us. We can go and start eating with them and begin to get our share. There's only a microcosmic few who feel that what is right, and we must stand against the box. So when people make decisions to say they want to either go city boy way or go the village boy way, it is the economic push and pull, the power accessible to them, the quality of life they are currently living, and the life they hope to live. If people are personal, they are greedy, they believe that when I am good, my Nigeria, people believe that this country you call Nigeria is your Nigeria. If I am living a good life, I'm living luxurious life, I can travel around the world, that is my Nigeria, Nigeria is good. If you are not living well, it is your Nigeria that is bad. So their own reality is so into that figure. So people who are supporting the city, by people whose perspective, micro perspective is already doing well. And they feel they should continue to oil that situation, the corrupt system, so that they too continue to benefit. Because for them, if they live a good life, it is good for them. But there are people who also have access to those resources and have said no. What we believe in democracy is the greatest good for the greatest number. A system that serves the generality of the people. And that's why they are aligned. That's why I see the clear dichotomy about the city boy and the village boy. There are few who believe that we will get into this government, if I want to get to APC, I can get us into APC. They are begging me, they will give me money, they will support me. That's the truth. If I choose want to be a city boy today, I'll be one of the biggest city boys. But I've chosen to align with the village because I know on the basis of values, on the basis of development and government disposition to good governance. That's why I've kept us here. So when people say people who move there or here, it's just on the basis of their values and what they hope for Nigeria. So for me, it's an issue of the youths who are sold out for slavery mentality, and the youth who still have the power to fight.
All right. Let me come to Emmanuel Bidi, because I like the analogy of Idris talked about. He gave us a very simple opinion of how a city should really feel like. He talked about our own city. It's not up to the standard yet. And we talked about the economic value or economic impact. Now, if you take a look at these two protesters and other groups, whether you want to believe it or not, they are being funded by politicians. So tell me, the end result, according to Pundit, is the same. Politicians coming back. Whether you are supporting through the village boys or supporting through the city boys, it is the same end game, power grab. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah. Now, we must, if you look critically into all of this perspective and all of this alignment, you will be able to demystify very clearly that there is an aspect that seems to be very organic in terms of mobilization, in terms of spontaneous reaction, in terms of reality of what is on ground, and in terms of participation. And the support that drives political success or victory in any political dispensation is an organic movement. It's an organic mobilization where you do not need to influence ABC, either by leader, either by big names, either by influencers, or whatever celebrities you have. Now, there is another aspect that has to do with mobilizing support by whipping people to line.
Whipping them to line.
By whipping them to align with the current realities and with the current government or forces in power. If I have an empire and I know my empire is not quote unquote clean in terms of the source of my kind of business, the wealth I parade, my brother, I will support and do everything to support the government of the day, because as it is today, they have all the security apparatus to either bring down my business or sustain it. So some of this city boy movement, as it were, and the influence that you see is mobilized from the angle of the first son of
Mr. President
of the federation, is as a result of the influence that is whipped by way of that angle I've talked about. So those kind of influence does not really translate. It gives popularity. It gives all of the hula balloons. It gives all of the jamborees. But it does not give organic participation. Some of these guys in question on election day, they will not come out. I'm telling you, some of them, a few days to election, they will either be out of this country or they will be in 5-star. Some of them will not be in their village. But you see this organic development, organic movement that is driven by personal conviction. All we need to do as Nigerians is to continue. Those of us who are elected, I will continue to encourage Nigerian youths who knows the direction, not to be wary. Irrespective of your experience in the 2023 election, do not be wary. We must continue to mobilize and sensitize. What Nigerians need now is the proper sensitization to understand what it means to support and make a choice that will determine your future for another 4 years. Not a decision that will make you feel belong or solve your middle bed problem for just one day. So if we can get the orientation very clear and align people to an organic mobilization of what you truly believe by your conscience, then the election will be determined by the reality of participation or the reality of performance of the government of the day. If the general performance of the government of the day to every Nigerians, looking at the macro and microeconomic indices as it were today, then majority of the vote and participation will favor them. But if it is not in the reality, then there will be an outright rejection because Nigerians know what they feel now.
All right. Thank you so much, Emmanuel Ogbidi. If you just joined us, this is Politics Today. The next question that Roy is going to tackle is, these bodies, these movements, are they truly organic? Both the city boys and the village boys. We'll be right back after this break.
Some days, there comes the Uge Mobo Festival, which the Oba celebrates outside the palace gate. A pavilion is built of red cloth where rites are performed to drive away all evil spirits still unsatisfied by the year's sacrifices. The Mobo Festival is to commemorate an event in Benin history which dates back to 1504 AD.
Yari yari, Ọba Tope. Yari yari,
Thank you so much for staying tuned. Now, for the viewers to really get to know, we talk about something being organic. It means original, born out of sheer emotion, sheer will, sheer interest. Without being, instigated, or will I say, coerced to do one or two things. Now, Roy, from your own analysis, the City Boys movement, and of course the Village Boys movement, do you feel that this movement are organic, or any other movement that has to do with church's election? From your own analysis, are they organic?
When you use the word organic, I don't know what you're talking about. It's nothing but trigger impulses. You understand? I saw, I was in Owerri by last Saturday.
Yes.
I saw the city, we met at the airport, I saw where the City Boys were arriving, and I said, wow. You understand?
Yes.
The next day, I moved to Lagos. When I got to Lagos, I saw some boys. They said they are the Village Boys.
Noise.
Whichever way you view it, there must be something. There must be an oxygen from somewhere coming. Let us know this.
Oxygen from somewhere coming?
Nigeria is an unusual place.
All right.
4 years ago, all of us, we took a decision that is obedient. There are some personalities who benefited from the obedient movement and struggle. Who were able to find their way to have national assembly. Naturally, those persons cannot win councillorship. What happened to them when they get there? They abandoned the obedient movement. They did not even consult anybody. They quickly. As a legislator, you don't need to move. Your salary will come to you. Everything you need will come to you. But these men deliberately abandoned the movement. Today now we're in another step. Somebody coming from my village yesterday and said, obedient, where are we going again? To me, that's a mockery. You are asking me after 4 years, every 4 years, I will be telling my mother, you are not voting Obida again, now we are voting here, we are voting here. We have to critically examine what is wrong with us as a people. Because I'm beginning to be bothered about what is wrong with us as a people. 4 years ago, El-Rufai was very prominent in the APC movement. There was nothing he was not talking. He was one of the most popular persons. As at today, what is he singing another song? 4 years ago, Utubai was very prominent in PDP, very close to government.
The local man.
The local man was very busy. Enjoy government funding. Anytime you come, Utubai, can we be say, west of the commoner, I have a meeting with the SNS.
This morning.
Well, it's a very wonderful morning. No movement, public holiday, election day, Abuja.
So how is it talking about the template of the election? Is it ongoing? The process so far, is it seamless?
Hello?
Is the process of the election seamless? Is it going smoothly?
Well, if you can hear me clearly, it seems the line is breaking. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Yes, I think the election is not looking good. The turnout is very low, but very, very peaceful, very calm, very orderly, but the turnout is very low, particularly in very urban settlement. One of our correspondents, Joyce Ikogu, is at a polling unit in Haibro, Guzape, Asukoro district. She just called us now about 3 minutes ago. The last voter that came in about 1 hour plus ago, and so far they've gotten about 6 voters in the polling unit. In some of the villages, people turned out, but I think the major thing is about the fact that I think the people don't trust the process. There have been so much of court cases that have killed the political parties. Some of them are in court. The last-minute defection of PDP candidates dropping their ambition for APC candidates have weakened interest. So the voter apathy is very high, and so far so good. The election is witnessing low turnout in urban settlement. In few areas that are organic areas where we have the Abuja indigenes, people looks a little bit more, but not compared to what we had before. But so far so good. The election is witnessing extreme low voter turnout.
All right, but talking about the electoral umpire right now, INEC, are the staff on the ground?
But they are on the ground, but you don't get them. You don't have voters. They are on ground. They are all everywhere. They are on the ground, but no voter. Let Joyce Ikogu is the last voter. The one I go.
Just keep us posted, okay? Keep us posted. Thank you.
Keep you posted. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, that is an update about the election that is taking place right now in Abuja. They call it the FCT election. You heard the complaints about voters apathy because of so much litigation in the political parties, and some of the people that maybe this might just give APC the upper hand in all the states. Well, back to our discussion for today, talking about the organic or inorganic movement. You talked about Udubai. Please don't go personal. Don't go personal.
I'm just saying so that we know where we are coming from. For you to understand your tomorrow, it is good for you to go back to yesterday. You heard the reporter from Abuja now. Are we not going to hold the government responsible? The leaders are not willing to embrace change. They are not willing to take their destiny in their hand. People refuse to come on because their mind is said that the election is going to be tomorrow. We start complaining. In the polling unit, we have been told the only 6 voters are out to vote. You are telling me I'll continue to shout as the voice of the commoner as if I inherited the leader from my father. These are some of the issues. How can people sit down there? They are not willing to come out to go and cast a vote. Tomorrow, because you have civil society movement, you tell them what to join and go and protest. What are they doing? Why are they sitting down? If a man says we read the election, I've never heard that kind of man will read the election. Why not go back to say you can't read, let us go and vote? By the time only 6 voters are coming out, what do you expect? They just add another 3-0 to it and make it to be another. Nobody will protest there, nobody will do anything. You are giving opportunity to anybody who wants to do. Then you expect people like Zacharias who's supposed to be enjoying the wife at home, who's supposed to be enjoying government money. We need to be better.
All right, thank you so much, Roy. We're about to commence our dissent on this discussion. Now, I know that you're an activist. It's like you've been across the length and breadth of this country trying to propagate good governance. From what you can tell, if you look at the crystal ball right now, your own crystal ball, do you feel that what happened in Abuja would translate itself into 2027 election if things are not put in place?
I can tell you for a fact that there is a deliberate ploy by those in government to discourage the average Nigerian from voting. What is happening in Abuja now was similar. Yesterday, my friend Peter Aka got an invitation to be at a FUTA, and we all went for that function. Young students invited us to come talk to them and encourage them about government and governance and things in that region. And then a question was put to the audience. How many of you in this audience have a voter's card? Very few hands. And then how many of you intend to vote in the next election? Very few. Okay, how many of you intend not to vote? A lot of hands. And then we decided to do a social experiment by interacting with young people to know, I'm talking of students in the university, why do you not intend to vote in the next election? And the preponderance of opinion was that their votes do not count. One thing I can tell Nigerians is that if you give up on your democracy for politicians, you will be the ultimate loser. There is hardly any family today where there is no family problem. I think we all have family problem. But will you abandon your family because of family problem?
Hold on, let's take this call. 08077770300. Hello. Yeah, good morning. How are you doing this morning? Yeah, I'm fine. So what's your name and where are you calling from? Yeah, I'm calling from Your name is what now?
My name is Comrade Abe from Benin.
All right, Comrade Abe, go ahead. I think the topic for this morning.
Bushra, what you just said. Now, you see what is happening in Abuja now? It's the same thing that's going to happen next year for the election. The truth of the matter is that city boy or no city boy, the real voters, they are at home. They are watching what is happening. So next year will determine if Nigerians will take the destiny to their hands or not, or we should continue with this suffering. At least, for crying out loud, this is not democracy. Threatening people not to come out to vote is God that will help us.
Thank you so much. You say, well, city boys or no city boys, a replica of what is happening right now in Abuja, voters apathy might just be what we see come 2027. Unless people have been threatened. Have you ever been threatened?
Of course, yes. There have been issue of threats. First of all, threat to come and join the city boys, because we saw that there have been this use of outright force and intimidation. Even here in Edo State, when the APC took over power, they started bullying people, the People's Democratic Party into submission. So people's hotels were locked up, places of business were being collapsed, just to ensure that they identify with the government in power. And even on election day, we see the outright use of force. They tell you that we are the ones running government. We know the renowned touts and agberos in Edo State and who they work for. We know their political inclination and their coloration. We know their ideology and the areas and dimensions they're willing to tilt to when they get to the polling booth. So we know all these things are available. And we also know that when the police, the law enforcement agency are going to apprehend some known thugs, because you can't be a thug without government coverage. We know this group of thugs who get arrested today and tomorrow they are released. And we know the kind of people that be arrested and be framed as thugs, even when they are not bearing weapons or not engaging in any form of violence. So we know the use of force and the use of security operators to protect those persons who to a large extent are purveyors of violence, who have the capacity to mobilize and deploy violence. So the APC, they have all these people in their group, the MC Olumo, their likes, people who contribute the drivers on wheels, because they have them more in that aspect. They tell them they are the professional on wheels, the drivers on wheels, the Ritian, the Newman, all of them, all those organizations, they are purveyors of agberos, which they use to conquer elections.
Thank you.
And when the time comes, we'll know whether they are city boys or they are village boys.
Yeah, some of them will be like they are not agberos, they are citizens like you that want to go out there to exercise a franchise. And some will accuse you of being among those groups before. Just accusation and counter accusation. You're briefly right now, I want to call it to wrap up the show.
We must
about the Abuja 6. I'll say come to you if it's not just six persons came out to vote in Abuja.
The fact is that you will agree with me that even in this studio, some people are already enticed to belong to the city boy movement. One of the very wonderful, flashy things that are around the city boy. think there are people who still prefer to eat their yam and oil.
Of course, like a local man.
However, what we want people to know is that there is a tiny line between opposition and the people.
Yes.
Many a times you find the ruling class on one side. But the ruling class must begin to understand that one day they will be kicked out and they will find themselves back in the street. Right. There is a tiny line between opposition and the people. And when opposition find themselves in the street, they find themselves aligning with the people. And that is why you see some of those politicians coming out to also protest. It doesn't mean they are the ones sponsoring or driving the organic movement.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel. Idris, briefly, our time is up.
Thank you again for the opportunity to be here. Nigerians must realize that their destinies is in their own hands and they must take it aggressively. Like the scripture says, even the violent ones take it by force.
All right, well, no propagating violence, though. Briefly, please, Roy.
The issue is very direct. There are many organizations. It's not determined what you are the one to take decision what you will. The one should be very fundamental is the future of this country.
The future of the country.
The future of this country.
Thank you so much. Well, you've heard them. Whether you belong to city boys or will I say village boys, we want a better Nigeria. The way things are going right now, do you like it? Anyway, next week Saturday, Sunday, because we'll be on the ground to take you on another ride of politics today. Bye for now.